I wasn't their dad. Until they wanted me back, my story of betrayal, revenge, and redemption. I'm not their dad, they used to say, so I decided to stop pretending I was one. I drove off in my truck and quit playing that role. But now, things have changed. They want me back, desperate even. After spending hours scrolling through posts about how stepdads get mistreated, I figured maybe sharing my experience could help some other guy avoid the same mess I went through. Fair warning, though, this is going to be long and probably full of mistakes since I'm writing it in my truck on my phone, and I'm wiped out. I'm 41, a guy who's been driving a truck since I was 23. I didn't start with much, just a commercial driver's license and a dream of owning my own rig one day. I worked hard, lived in that truck, and saved every penny until I finally bought a big rig. Things were going well. I had my own route, regular clients, and I was even saving up a decent amount of money. I didn't have a wife or kids, just me and my dog living on the road. I wasn't rolling in cash, but I was doing all right. My truck was paid off. I had a small apartment that I hardly used, and enough extra money to enjoy a good steak dinner now and then. It wasn't a bad life for a guy who grew up with nothing in a trailer park. So here's how all this started. It was 2015, and I was in a pet store getting food for my German Shepherd, Ghost. I'd rescued him the year before, and he turned out to be the best decision I ever made. Though honestly, it was the only good decision I made in this whole mess. I was comparing dog food prices when this kid came charging at me out of nowhere. He literally ran into my legs full speed. This kid was in a big rush. Ghost started wagging his tail like crazy, and this kid, who I later found out was named Liam, was laughing. He was about 7 or 8 years old. Behind him was a woman who looked absolutely exhausted, holding a little girl's hand. The little girl's name was Mia, and she was one of those moms you see in movies trying to keep it all together, but clearly on the edge of losing it. I helped Liam get back on his feet, and he was laughing because Ghost was giving him the sloppiest kisses ever. The woman, Mia, was apologizing over and over, saying, "Sorry, he's extra hyper today." Liam apologized too, but I just laughed. Honestly, it was the most exciting thing that had happened to me all week. Being a truck driver means spending a lot of time alone, so it was nice to see some energy for a change. Turns out they were there because Liam was begging his mom for a pet snake. No kidding. We started chatting, just small talk, while Liam tried to get Ghost to be his best friend. That's when I saw the Marine Widow pin on Mia's bag. I didn't say anything at first, but I got it. Later, I found out her husband had been killed in Afghanistan the year before. A real hero, got a Bronze Star and everything. He left behind an 8-year-old son who barely remembered him, and a 4-year-old girl who would remember even less. I won't pretend I didn't notice Mia was pretty. She was. But what really caught my attention was how hard she was trying to keep it all together. Like when Liam asked if the snake could sleep in Daddy's old room, and her voice cracked when she said, "No." Ghost really sealed the deal. He's this dog who usually takes forever to warm up to people, but he let Liam climb all over him. Even little Amy was giggling every time Ghost gently licked her hand. Mia joked that it was the first time she'd seen Amy smile at a stranger in months. So, I offered to take them for a walk around the store while we checked out the pets, which I knew they wouldn't end up buying. Mia had a strict no-snake rule, and I thought that was probably a good call. Liam was thrilled holding on to Ghost's leash while I chatted with Mia, and we exchanged numbers. Mia said we should set up dog play dates. She said it half-jokingly since they didn't even have a dog, but we both knew what was going on. Looking back now, sitting in my truck with Ghost's gray muzzle resting in my lap, I wonder if Ghost knew something I didn't. That dog was always smarter than me, and he took to those kids right away. But every time Mia got close, he'd give her this certain look, not growling or anything, just watching her. I should have paid more attention to that. I guess even your dog can't protect you from making bad choices. Those first few months after meeting Mia were, well, they were complicated. We started those dog play dates like we talked about. I'd take Ghost to a little park near their apartment, and Liam would buzz with excitement every time he saw me pull up in my truck. The kid thought my truck was the coolest thing. I mean, it was just a normal rig, but try telling that to an 8-year-old. That's when I made my first mistake. I started adjusting my routes to be home more often. Any trucker reading this knows that's basically throwing money away. But there I was, turning down better-paying long-haul jobs just to be there for Liam's soccer games and Amy's doctor appointments. Mia was going through some financial struggles, but she never directly asked for help. You could tell, though. Their apartment was always freezing in the winter because they were saving on heating, and the kids were wearing clothes that didn't fit anymore. I noticed Liam's shoes were literally held together with duct tape. So, yeah, I got sucked into it. What else could I do? I bought him new shoes, the kind that light up when you walk. The kid cried when he saw them, and it really broke my heart. I started bringing over extra food, that kind of thing. Mia tried to refuse it at first, but it's hard to say no when your kid is jumping for joy over his first new shoes in years. It was around 10:17 when I heard them talking about my dad. I thought maybe they were talking about me, but when Mia said, "Just tell them what I always say, sweetheart. Your dad was a Marine, serving his country," I could tell they didn't care I was right there in the living room. I was sitting with Ghost, and they just kept on like I didn't exist. Ghost growled. It was the first time I'd heard him do that, and Mia tried to brush it off, laughing. "Oh, that dog is getting so grumpy in his old age." But no, Mia. Ghost wasn't growling at nothing. He just stopped pretending like I had. The real kicker came when I found out they had a whole Thanksgiving dinner without me while I was out on a run. Not just a small gathering, either a full family thing. They had some of the kids' friends over, even some neighbors. I saw the pictures on Facebook later. They used my yard, set up in my garden, and even used my grill, the one I hadn't been allowed to use for months because Amy's allergies. And they had the audacity to post it with a caption about how they were so grateful for family and missing James more than ever. Meanwhile, there I was, driving through a snowstorm, delivering emergency supplies, missing my family while they pretended I didn't even exist. I'd had enough that night. I slept in my truck with Ghost. I didn't even bother going inside. The next day, when I finally walked back into the house, I started making plans. I called my buddy Rich, the lawyer, and started gathering evidence. Took screenshots of everything. But I wasn't ready to make my move yet. I thought maybe there was still something worth saving. What an idiot I was. But life has a funny way of kicking you when you think it can't get worse. I didn't expect things to take another turn, but that day, I was about to be surprised. I was finishing up a long trip from California, looking forward to surprising Amy for her 14th birthday. I had everything planned out, a bracelet I'd saved for months to buy her. I got home early for once, around 6 p.m. while the sun was still up. But when I got there, I saw all these cars parked around the house, and Ghost started acting weird. Normally, he's excited to be home, but this time, he was tense. I went around back, and that's when I saw it, full-on party in my yard. Catering, music, everything. Right in the middle of it all was Amy, and Mia was telling one of the guests about how Amy's late dad would be proud of her. She went on about how sad it'd be when Amy had to get married without her dad to walk her down the aisle. But at least her uncle could do it. Mia's brother, who barely did a damn thing for Amy except show up drunk at Christmas parties. I must have made a noise because Ghost let out a low whine. That's when they finally realized I was standing there. Amy didn't look embarrassed. She wasn't guilty. No, she looked annoyed, like I'd ruined her perfect little moment just by existing. Mia tried to play it off, but I wasn't listening anymore. I was looking at my house, my yard, my grill, everything they used, paid for with my money. Mia even used my credit card for the catering. Ghost kept nudging me like he was trying to comfort me, so I turned around and walked away. I got in my truck, Ghost jumped in, and we left. We spent the night at a gas station about 80 miles away, just sitting there, staring off into the nothingness. That night, I called Rich. I told him it was time. He just said, "Finally." I spent that night in the truck, going over old pictures on my phone, Amy's dance recital, Liam's first baseball game. Those family moments I thought we had. But here's something most people don't get about the trucking business. It's not just a guy driving a big truck down the road. It's a business, contracts, accounts, assets, everything. While they were busy looking down on me, I was running a business. The house they lived in my name. The cars they drove, my name. The credit cards Mia used for that fancy engagement party, my name. Even the utilities, everything. Rich set it all up years ago, but I kept quiet. I kept driving, paying bills, acting like nothing was wrong. Even sat down for dinner one night while Mia and Liam talked about universities that cost more than my first truck. Meanwhile, Rich and I were going through everything, bank statements, credit card accounts, property titles. We found some interesting stuff, like how Mia had been writing checks to her brother out of my business account or how Liam had been using my credit card to buy whatever he wanted. And Mia? She never signed a prenup, and she didn't put her name on anything important. She thought she was being clever, keeping her independence by not taking my last name. Turns out, that just meant she had no legal claim to my assets. Rich laughed his ass off when he realized that. But the real kicker? While all this was happening, they were still acting like I was the bad guy. Liam kept messing with my truck, caught him on camera again, trying to put sugar in the tank. One night, I overheard Amy telling someone on the phone, "Well, he's just a truck driver. He won't notice if he loses a few thousand." They didn't know that I'd been quietly shifting money around for months. Everything was legal, all within the law, thanks to Rich. I opened new accounts, redirected business income, canceled old credit cards, and even started a new LLC for my growing fleet. The day everything was ready, I took Ghost for a long walk, and it was time. I made my last call to Rich, told him to do it. The plan we'd been working on for months was finally in motion. And let me tell you something about patience. Ever seen one of those nature documentaries where the predator just waits, letting its prey think everything's fine, until the perfect moment to strike? That was me. I told Mia I was going on a 3-day run. She probably thought I was just being a good trucker, making more money for the family. But little did she know, I was parked just an hour away at my buddy's yard, watching everything unfold through the security cameras I'd set up. Rich made sure the fun started with the delivery guy showing up just as Mia was sipping her morning coffee. 3 thick envelopes, each one a different kind of screw you. You should have seen her face when she opened the first one. Divorce papers, but not just any divorce papers. It was a full manuscript, complete with security footage of Liam messing with my truck, bank statements showing how Mia treated my business account like her personal ATM, and all the costs for Amy's birthday party. Then came the eviction notice. Mia never bothered to check if her name was on the deed to the house. And the cherry on top? The third envelope. When she realized all the credit cards were canceled, all the joint accounts were closed, and all the assets had been transferred. It was like watching someone realize they were playing poker with a marked deck and had just lost it all. The calls from Mia came first, screaming about the money, the house, how she couldn't believe I'd do this to her. Then Liam, as if he had any right to talk after what he did to my truck. Finally, her brother called, thinking he could be the tough guy. Yeah, he wasn't so tough when my lawyer handed him a cease and desist and a restraining order. By sunset, Mia was crying to anyone who would listen. Amy played the victim on social media, and Liam was still threatening my truck. Thanks for the written evidence, genius. The best part? I swung by the house a week later. Saw moving trucks in the driveway. Reality hit hard when it finally sank in. Update. A lot of people have been asking for an update, so here it is. First off, the most important thing? Ghost. He's 11, almost 12. I adopted him when he was around 2, so that's how I figured his age. He's getting old, but he still joins me on my long drives. He's not as agile as he used to be, but he still chases after critters. It's just me and him on the road, some good music, and the miles ahead. I've picked up some longer routes again, but only because I enjoy the time alone with Ghost. I've got trucks driven by employees now, so I could retire if I wanted to, but I'd be stuck thinking about everything that happened. My therapy's driving, and nothing can replace that. Well, maybe a long ride with Ghost. As for what I thought was my family, I haven't spoken to them in months. I'm sure they don't want to talk to me either. After what happened, I don't care. I don't want to be anything to people like that. All I know is they had to move. Their lives are back to how they were before. Mia's struggling again. She never bothered to look for a better job while she was living comfortably with me. Now, she's paying the bills and rent. As for Liam, he's gotten into trouble. His issues have escalated. I know Mia's had to look for him at the police station more than once. Amy, I don't know much, but I know she's not living the high life anymore. I was giving her that, even if it wasn't much. She had it better than now. And the funniest part? I never felt jealous of Mia's late husband. I think a man who served this country must have had some integrity. He'd be disappointed in his family. Maybe in another life, we could have been friends. And I think Ghost senses that.